Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Schultz. I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market. I serve Reno-Sparks, Carson City, and all surrounding areas. I'm here if you need me for real estate. And on today's video, I thought it would be helpful to just kind of give you guys an overview of how to relocate here. I know that seems really obvious, but it's really not when you think about how many moving pieces there are. And, I have people who move here from literally the other side of the country that I work with every single day. So I just thought I would break down all the steps involved, all the things to consider, and just give you an overview of the process. Obviously, a lot of people are moving here because we have no state income tax. We have low property tax compared to a lot of other states. Compared to cities of similar sizes, there are a lot of job opportunities here, and we are in a huge period of economic growth here in Reno. So I think a lot of things are changing, a lot of things are in flux, and we are seeing a lot of people relocating here. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is do some, general research about which area within our area at large you want to end up in. Maybe do some neighborhood research. Feel free to dig through my channel. There's a lot of information here. I also have a blog on my website. You're going to want to go to sarahisselling.com. Click on the blog tab. There's all kinds of info there. But anyway, you're going to want to kind of have an idea of like which neighborhoods you are interested in. You also, if you're relocating here for a job, it's fairly easy this day and age to just Google Maps or Apple Maps or, MapQuest. Does that even exist anymore? Do some mapping of like how long the drive times might be to different neighborhoods. Obviously, with ChatGPT on the scene now, you could even ask it to give you an idea of some neighborhoods to explore. But if you already have some neighborhoods in mind, we can really pinpoint your search and get all that more detailed with statistics, inventory, days on market, like all that stuff that goes into finding a home. We can really dig in at that point. So it helps if you've done a little bit of preliminary research. You're also going to want to evaluate cost of living. Your agent can help you with that to an extent, but they're not going to know all the intricacies of your life, what you spend on groceries, on gas, on all of those things. So you're going to want to kind of have that in mind. There are some things in our area that are a huge plus, right? Like no state income tax, low property taxes. But some of the other things to keep in mind is that the cost of healthcare here, from what I've heard from people relocating out of state, can actually be quite costly compared to other states. So just that kind of stuff, you're going to want to have a general idea in your head so that you are not taken by surprise. You're also going to want to do your own research on schooling and schools if you have kids, and not even if you have kids. If you are buying a home that you're going to have to either keep as a rental or sell later on, you want to think about the resale value as it relates to the school that it's zoned for. All right, let's talk about the actual home search. Obviously, you are going to want to find a realtor, not mentioning any names. Find a realtor who you vibe with, but also who you trust and who you have a high level of confidence in as far as their actual competence. Interview them, talk to them, find out what their experiences are, find out, if they have any areas of specialty. Like there are some agents who really focus on new construction, and they know every builder and they know all the incentives and they're really up to date with all of that. There are going to be other agents who are very well versed in 1031 exchanges, who really work with investors, who that's kind of their niche. There are other agents, what's up, who specifically mostly work with relocators. That would be me. And that's their biggest part of their business, where they really put a lot of energy and focus into. That agent is going to have a lot of know-how of how to make your move very seamless, right? Like let's say you have a home to sell where you're coming from. They're going to have to really make sure that they're competent and able to align your timeline with whatever agent you're working with on that end who's helping you sell. So there are a lot of things to consider, but step one in that regard is going to be to find and pick a real estate agent. This leads me to my next thing is I hear a lot of times, well, maybe I'll just get there and rent and kind of take my time shopping. And that is fine if that is your goal. My goal personally, after having sold and bought a house in Reno last year, not even like from out of state, though I've done that as well. What a headache. But like, let me tell you, I can help you get through it seamlessly. My, I don't know, best advice is like, why would you want to move more than once? Moving sucks. Moving is stressful. Putting all your stuff in storage and then unloading it into a house and then packing it up and moving it to another house. Like, if we can avoid that, why wouldn't we, right? And there are so many ways that that can be achieved. One of the ways that I help my buyers is remote buyers, I should say, is by doing video tours. And you might say, well, you can't really tell from a video. Like, let me tell you, you really can. I've gotten like so good and skilled at actually doing video tours, whether it be FaceTime, recording videos and sending them to you. And then by the time you actually come here to tour homes, we've narrowed down exactly what you're looking for. And we can actually go see the homes in person that were, high priority based on our virtual tours. You're going to want to understand also, and this is something that an agent who is skilled and competent should be able to help you with. You're going to want to understand what the market is doing in Reno before you move here and what the market is doing where you're coming from, right? Like, if we're going to have to write a contingent offer, we're going to need to effectively communicate what that sale is going to look like in order to put a seller here at ease and make them understand, like, this home is getting listed and I'm not going to be able to pay you until it's sold, but this home is getting listed, and according to the market statistics, this home over here should only take me 15 days to sell. So that's going to put the selling side over here in Reno at ease, right? So you're going to want to understand the market in both places. If you are financing a home, it's incredibly hard to get financing based on income that you're leaving, unless you have income where you are landing, right? Like, a lender isn't going to say, oh yeah, let me buy a house that you can pay me back with no job. Like, that's just not a good move, and a lot of lenders are not going to do that. You're probably going to want to make sure that you either have permission from your departing city, like wherever that job is, to work remote. And with that, you can't just say like it was a wink and a handshake. Like, the lender's actually going to need a letter from your employer saying, yes, we will continue to employ this person even though they no longer live here. It's just a good thing to keep in mind. Usually, like, let's not put the cart before the horse, right? Like, you have to have income if you're gonna be loan worthy. Let's talk about the actual physical act of the move itself. A lot of people ask me, how do I get all my stuff from A to B? Well, there's all kinds of options, right? There are moving companies, there are pods, there are even companies, if you didn't know this, if you have vehicles to move and you don't want to be going like flying back to move a car multiple times, there are actually companies that you can hire to They load your car onto the back of a truck and drive it out for you. So that's one thing you should be aware of. You're also going to want to consider the timing of your move, because while it's not impossible to move here in the wintertime, if you are aiming to move here and you have a rent back, let's say, from one property to the other, and your timeline for moving only gives you like 3 or 4 days, you're going to want to make sure that you plan ahead for timing, weather, road closures. Like, all of these things can directly impact your actual move. Next up, let's talk about actually settling in. You're going to have a whole list of things from me if I'm your agent, of places to change your address, a utilities list of like what utilities you need to connect and by when. You're also going to want to start building a community here, right? Like researching events, community activities, meetup groups, whatever it is, like things that you care about. Find other people who care about those things in advance and start connecting, because the sooner you do that, the sooner this brand new place is going to feel like home. And lastly, let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid. First and foremost, let's not underestimate the competition or demand in our market, and also let's not underestimate the cost. I think there is this preconceived notion from like 20 years ago that Reno is like so cheap and affordable, and like if you're coming from LA, maybe that's true. If you're coming from, I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest or literally like anywhere else, you may experience sticker shock. And I see this all the time with relocating buyers. Like, our median sales price for a single family residence in Reno is pretty close to $600,000. So do your research so you're not absolutely shocked. Another thing that you should not assume is that Reno is just a mini Vegas, because it's not. And if that's what you're expecting, in some ways you may be disappointed, but I think in other ways you may be pleasantly surprised. For example, our weather does not get that crazy. I mean, we have extremes. We are high desert. We do have, a lot of snow some winters, not all. And it does seem that when it does snow here, it's like a lot at once, but like few and far between, at least in recent years. We do have some temps over 100, but not anything near like Las Vegas. Average, we're probably in the 90 to 100 range throughout most of the summer. Obviously, in certain years, we do go over 100 or we have a little bit cooler weather, but just make sure that you're not coming out here with the preconceived notion that you're moving to like a miniature Las Vegas, because that's really not the culture here at all. Last but not least, don't skip on neighborhood tours. And I'm saying this with a grain of salt because obviously most of you are probably thinking about buying remotely, or at least doing exploratory visits or virtual visits, remotely before coming out here. But one thing that I always do when I'm doing video tours of a home is I'll make sure that I come outside of the home and show you what the neighborhood looks like. Or, if there's something that may deter you from buying after we've talked and I understand kind of who you are, what you're looking for. If there's, I don't know, let's say, for example, okay, I have buyers who are looking at new construction. They found this really cool community. So I went up there to give them a video tour, but on the way into the community, I noticed there was like a huge power grid. Is it make or break? I don't know. That's in the eye of the buyer beholder. But it is something that like I would feel really bad, like I failed to do my job if like they bought sight unseen and their first day pulling up to their home, they're like, well, you failed to mention this like giant power grid that's like right outside the gate, right? Like you can't be doing that. So just make sure that if it's not me, if it's somebody else that you choose, just make sure that you're really getting the full picture of what the neighborhood is like, what the community is like, if there's anything like major red flags that are kind of in the immediate surrounding areas before you commit to a certain property. All right. That should give you a pretty general overview. Obviously, buying and selling real estate is among life's most stressful things. So I'm sure there are like details that I didn't get into. And obviously each buyer seller situation is completely unique. So my best advice from here is also to book a strategy call with me. It's free, it's no obligation. We can just connect and see if we might be a good fit to work together. Also, it's really helpful for me to understand your personal set of circumstances so that I can give you really customized, unique advice for your situation, help you position yourself for the best and next steps. There's a link to book a call with me in the show notes below. All right, if you guys haven't already, please smash the like and the subscribe button. I put out new videos each and every week about the Northern Nevada lifestyle, the Reno-Sparks housing market, and of course, all things to do with buying and selling real estate. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.